Good morning. Good morning, everybody. This is Engineer Suraj Singh from Bharat, India. On this day, May 6th, 2021, Thursday, another critical day of life, critical day because of COVID-19. Title of this talk is Civil Field Engineering, COVID-19 Designs, Construction, Methods, Contracts, AnnexSL, Organizations, Communications, Coordination, Quality, why be behind quality of concrete, standard materials, top 345, etc., like this. Life has become too critical because of COVID-19. COVID-19, which has taken its role in an unbecoming way, in a sense that we have to take measures ourselves. COVID-19 has reached very, very high scales. It's now said that our country, Bharat, India, is in grip of about infections, 50% infections of whole world. It's being said 15% infections of whole world we are owning, while there are about 1/6 population of whole world. We are having 50% cases or 1/2 of whole world. It's very adverse comment against us by WHO, but facts cannot be denied. Facts cannot be denied, and that's a fact that we have to digest this. We have to digest this fact. We have to accept this fact as well. Accept this fact that we are where we have to actually worry about ourselves. We have to worry about ourselves. I'm just writing certain questions here. I don't know. I am not ready to define COVID in a way it should be defined. COVID infections. I'll just do one thing. I'll keep this file closed and I'll open another file. I'll see what to do with that. Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Just take a few seconds and I'll open this now. I'm just going to open this exit. It's just a minute. Let me see where it is actually lies in. Okay, now I'm ready with that. Sorry for delay. Now I'm talking of COVID-19, which is, you can say, it says COVID-19, 50% world, 50% world infections in India. It's being said by WHO that 50% world infections occur in India. How it is? We are every day being reported that about 400,000 infections officially are occurring in our country. If you take statistics, yesterday it was 3.8 something lakhs, or you can say approximately 4 lakhs. In last, you can say about 5-6 days, it has been between 3.5 lakhs to 4 lakhs, or you may say approximately 4 lakhs cases happening. This is official report, and also around 3,500 to 4,000 that's occurring every day. This is what's being published, and I trust that that is official restricted figure, censored figure, you can say. So 50% of world infections happening in India according to WHO, which is very concernable point here, that we are just 1/6 population in world, and we are giving 50% infections. This means because of many reasons it is, but these reasons we will discuss later on. Now problems are here which an engineer or a field engineer or engineering community, in addition to medical community, must think of, because in whole world there are only two professions. One is health sector and other one is engineering sector, which own responsibilities to society. This point we have to understand very clearly. We own responsibility to society to keep it healthy. In engineering itself, HSE is a subject, is a field, is a discipline, not subject even. It's a big discipline, dominating discipline, and that is called HSE, which means health, safety and environment. And this is work of health. COVID-19, that we are not able to keep our society healthy, and it's not only for our country. World itself is not in a position to keep itself healthy because of this natural or unnatural force that is sitting on our head, that has been sitting on our head for about 14 or 15 months. So 50% world infections in India, which is very unwelcome sign. Now problems that we all have been facing in addition to this, there's a problem of shortage. We have acute shortage of oxygen gas, which is a lifesaver. We have a shortage of hospitals. Hospitals are very rare and beds are not available. Question is, hospitals with equipment, why these we don't have? Hospitals with beds we don't have. Nurses are short, ventilators are short. Infections every day, according to my assessment as an individual, without involvement of any official person, that may be 1 million or more every day, because official data itself claims about 4 lakhs or 0.4 million. So I can say that is official data, and I can easily multiply that by a factor of 2.5 to 3. So I say let it be greater than 1 million a day, 10 lakhs a day. 1 million means 30 million in a month. 30 million in a month or 3 crore in a month. And if we take government figure, that is say 4 lakhs or 0.4 million, this means 1.2 crores per month, and I am saying 3 crores per month. So there can be variation in this, heavy variation, but it is a fact that even if you consider half a million per month, it's a big figure. Half a million per day, half a million per day, it's a big figure, means there is no value of human being now. Millions are infected, and every day 4,000 daily dying. 4,000 individuals are dying daily. This is a question, big question mark. Deaths officially are 4,000 or say 3,500 to 4,000 every day, and I can multiply that to keeping appraised status of graveyards, status of cremation grounds which are unbecoming, and they are constructing or temporarily making more funeral areas or more shamshan ghats or cremation grounds wherever around those shamshan space is available. Even there is no structure, but they are ready to do funeral work in open. So I can say, let me consider deaths are above 10,000 daily. Is then question now. Deaths are 10,000, infections are millions, and what else we can say? Shortage of ventilators, shortage of nurses, shortage of beds, shortage of hospitals, shortage of oxygen, and 50% wall infections here. We are getting international helps as well. For example, we are getting from Kingdom of Saudi Arab, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Qatar, and many other countries are ready to help us because we to help them. But we are in very, very cruel situation, I should say. Cruel that COVID-19 is impacting. It has started impacting us, I mean to say ourselves, Bharat, India, and that impact is very serious, and that's why I am including this in field engineering talk, because more than this there can be no field engineering. More than COVID-19 issue, there can be no field engineering, there can be no design engineering. If COVID-19 works like this, if destruction goes on like this, and there is no meaning of field engineering. It's a part of field engineering I consider, because health is very important one in our world of engineering. Health, safety, and environment, we give much importance to them. Health is considered first, safety is considered first. If we are not safe, we cannot work. If we are not healthy, we cannot work. If we don't have good environment, we cannot work. Therefore, as a part of health, safety, and environment, I am including COVID-19 talk a brief in integrated with my talk of general engineering, general quality, and in this case quality is a question mark. Quality is a big question mark in this case, so I put quality also here. Quality is an issue here. Quality everywhere we say, but where it is, where this quality exists in COVID-19, that's the point where COVID-19 quality is. I'm not very serious. I'm very serious about this issue. Very serious we should be. We cannot simply joke with this, and there is no way we should joke with this. There should be no joke at all. It's a question of quality, and this quality must be considered, because COVID and quality must be related. If I say quality everywhere, where it is in COVID, okay, we are 50% infected, that is a different issue, not related to quality, but oxygen. Government is claiming there is enough oxygen. Okay, I agree. There may be enough oxygen. It's like that. If I have enough water reservoir, with treated water or water to be supplied to us. Enough water is available in reservoir, but are there pipelines, utilities available for this water to be conveyed to users? Or there are enough tankers that can be filled from reservoir and transported to houses to fill their tanks? That's the question. Oxygen is liquid. It is low temperature containment. It has to be transported to public. How can you transport through big tankers or through cylinders? When you shift it through tankers, means you should have low temperature containments, and which means cryogenic steel tankers, which we don't have. This means we have oxygen, or we can convert industrial oxygen to medical oxygen. That's okay, fine, that can be done. But where are plants? What's that? This means we cannot today say we are working on this. If we say today we are working on this, I don't consider it intellectual statement. Why should I work on this today when it is required today? This is not sensible answer, because today I must use it, but I say today I am working on it. It's like that. In old times we used to excavate wells to drink water. Water was available to be extracted from wells only. Deep well, big wells, open size well. And if you say today I am thirsty, I want water, I have to find a place where I can see water may be available, and I excavate there. It will take 2 or 3 months to excavate. By that time, shall I stay thirsty? That's my question. Shall patient wait for 15 days, 20 days, 1 month to continue respiration, breathing? That's the point. So oxygen is not available. It's a question mark. Hospitals. They say we are expanding hospitals. Why now? And if you expand immediately in 2-3 days, very temporarily, that's okay. Do you have beds? And if you do have beds, do you have professionals like nurses, like doctors? I missed right doctors, I'm sorry. Like doctors, like ventilators. Do you have ventilators? And you know, infection is very big now. 400,000 to 1,000,000. See, 400,000, 4 lakhs. I speak in lakhs, it's better. 4 lakhs to 10 lakhs, possibly. Forget government figures. Let us consider on higher scale, just like we consider in our ultimate loads. This ultimate may be million daily. Ultimate figure may be million daily. And ultimate stat could be 10,000 somewhere. So point arises, where are those who are responsible for providing all this? So COVID-19 did not enter in minds of our responsible people for last 15 months. COVID-19 did not enter into their minds, like into minds of politicians, into minds of scientists, into minds of doctors, and I think they ignored its impact, possible impact, which is working now, which is happening now. You cannot say at this moment that we are working on this. And if we accept that statement, I don't think we are a nation in that case. World was never expecting this. Maybe they expected, but they were not sure. They did not understand our country, and our own politicians, our own people did not understand this impact. I am not giving credit to myself, but I every day post on Facebook or sometimes on a script. Generally, I post my understanding, my interpretation, my way of construction of government publication, because I generally view daily COVID-19 site provided by government, on which it publishes daily status, and from there I read every day, I note every day status and put in my Excel sheet, and then after conducting some analysis I publish it on Facebook, and put file on script. This I have been working since August 31st, 2020. Just as a hobby, you may say, or as a concern of a citizen of this country. It has nothing to do with politics as well as it is nothing to do with something else. Just because to encourage people to understand what can be done, what cannot be done. And I'm not a celebrity, I'm not a leader. That's why my publication is not read by thousands. That's the problem. But I wrote to government of this country months back that I am making videos of this or I am making publication of this interpretation based on your reporting, but there has been no answer from government till now. Means they did not even ask me how could I support them. They could not even ask me. And every problem must have certain analytical activity. Whatever data we have, it is our duty to analyze that data. This is scientific answer. This is scientific procedure. This is engineering procedure. Whatever problems do we have, to solve them problem, we have to understand that problem. And if we cannot understand that problem, then we cheat ourselves. Why I could not understand this problem? Why I am, you can say in English language, these British people clearly speak, which we cannot speak. Example, I once was talking to one British long back on my project. That British came to me, he asked me certain calculations. He wanted me how could I help this in that design. And I told him this is a formula for this. And that design worked in that case. But what you know what this British guy said? Oh, I am a bastard. I could not understand that. I was surprised to know. But that person had a meaning of that. That person did say I was a bastard. But he meant that I am not competent. I am not competent to solve this problem. I could not realize what is required here. That's what that person said. Same thing I apply here now. What do we do now? Who are we now? We could not understand, we could not anticipate that COVID-19 would work against us in a period of 1 year. How we could not anticipate that? I talk to some people, they say, oh, how could they know? But this is nonsense talking to us. How could they? They have hundreds of experts with them. And I even heard interviews of experts. They say they had to tell the government through some agency, through some senior body. And government knew it very well. They warned government that take care of this. That's going to happen. But nobody takes. So what I say, I'm not blaming government. I'm not blaming ourselves. I am blaming time. When time is not good, people are careless. And on top of everything, if leaders start saying, don't worry, it has gone, or we have got victory over COVID-19. Our leaders did that in January 2021, in February 2021, like English leader Johnson did same, like Trump did same, and many European countries did same, and later on they suffered. Germany did that, France did that, Italy did that, Greece did that, Sweden did that, England did that, America did that. They did that nonsense. Why did we do that? America suffered a lot, we know very well. Still they have been suffering, but they have done some controls, they have vaccinated, but we have failed in that attempt also. Till today, I just give you an answer. Till today, today is May 6, 2021, we have not even completely tested even 25% population. It's a question mark. It's a shameful mark that we country in 14 months could not successfully test our population to an extent of 25%. It is somewhere 22% or little more. This means 77% people still do not know whether or not they have contracted COVID-19. Same way, vaccination or inoculation of vaccination, they started with pomp and show. Oh, we are doing best in world. Still they say that. Oh, we have vaccinated 12 crores or 13 crores. It's not question of 12 crores or 13 crores. Question is, where is your plan? I always ask questions. Where is your action plan for testing of people about COVID-19? Where is your action plan for inoculation or vaccination of whole population? I have not seen any action plan regarding testing or regarding how to treat people. Always there are questions. If you discover people that they have infected, they are positive contacting, where is your hospital? Every person cannot stay at home. Now, okay, those people who are big, who are rich, like very high people or middle class, upper class, they can have rooms in their home, or they have facility, or they can spend money for treatment. But now question is not of middle class, not of high profile people. Question is for very common people, very ordinary people who you can say work in capacity as manual workers, or they are industry workers, or they are factory workers, or they are private vendors, private low profile vendors, like hawkers, like rickshawalas, like tea vendors, like those people who are at a poor line, who are considerable in poor line. Now if suppose there are people, 5 persons or 10 persons in a family, let us say 5 persons, and all those five live in one room or two rooms, and if one of them is infected, now where is isolation area? These middle class or these high people, high profile people, they had bungalows, or they had flats, or they could go to hospitals also, rich hospitals, high profile hospitals. But where shall this poor guy go? Question is, five people are staying, 5 persons staying in. If one gets infected, for sure four shall also be infecting. So if one person is infected, means it's now impacting 4 times than it did last year, or it did up to December or October last year. It did not multiply. But since it has come to those people who are like Jhuggi Jhopri people or little above, those people don't have facilities, and they will run to hospitals only. There is no other way. If they contract COVID, they will run to hospitals. This means if there was a requirement of one bed, now there could be a requirement of 5 beds. That's point we have to understand. Means 400 times increase in requirement in just a period of 1 year. That's why it's bombasting. It's blasting itself. If 500% is requirement, 400% is requirements of hospitals, requirements of beds, requirements of doctors or nurses, and ventilators. I'm not saying that everyone requires oxygen or ventilators, but even if you say there's 505 times increase, and say, let us say 20%, we can say they may need oxygen. So if there was 0.2%, if there was 1% infected, so out of 5, 1 required oxygen, now they are 5 times infected. That means we need in place of 1, 4 oxygens or 5 oxygens. That's point. The plan should tell. Without planning, how can we move? This is out of my common understanding. People don't like plans. I don't know why don't they like plans. In a star office joining job, our Prime Minister said, I don't need any plan. I don't understand what did he mean by that. And of course, engineers started saying, many engineers, what's need a plan? And if an engineer says that, I condemn that engineer, whoever one is. If an engineer says, I don't need this plan, that person cannot be called an engineer, because that person does not understand what is engineering. And I think that's the reason engineering community in ours did not care for this. And fortunately, we have millions of engineers and maybe lakhs civil engineers, lakhs mechanical engineers, and who must be worried about health of people, because it is engineers who build hospitals, they build every facility. So they must be careful. They deal with, only civil engineers deal with people, human resources, and no other engineering deals that much. Even mechanical engineers don't need that much resources of human resources, and we do that. So we have to be very careful about this. Talk in this very critical situation today. We don't know what to do. Will this continue? This COVID talk is an important one, and I can say COVID-19. It says 50% world production in India, oxygen requirement, and beds requirement, and nurses requirement, doctors requirement, ventilators requirement, and also transportation requirement, infections millions a day, and deaths thousands a day. All these are very grave situations, and we should have been very smart in this act. But I think that's why education is required. Education required for politicians also. Education, real education required for public also. If public remains timid, can't speak, means you may press them for some time, you may force them for some time not to speak, but deaths don't announce anything. Dead bodies do not announce anything. They are visible. They are seen. I have seen, I heard news just today that there is no transportation and dead bodies are taken by auto rickshaw. It's really gruesome. Dead body of husband is taken by wife through auto rickshaw. No ambulance is available. And this is really shameful for a society like ours, India, Bharat, which has 1.3 billion people, and I think we are crores educated, maybe 5 crores people educated. We have all infrastructure built in, but those all are inefficient now. It seems we are very careless. So I come back to now to construction and quality. I have discussed quality of this. So quality statement that I always statement about quality fails, applications fail as far as thinking is concerned. Our thinking has failed. Our contemplation did not appear. Our analysis did not work. And our synthesis are back to zero. And that's why I can say our every activity in quality as far as COVID-19 is concerned has gone to hell. That's what I can say. I close about issue of quality now. I'm sorry, COVID now, and come to talk of something else. That's what I can say. You can say quality, and now it's a COVID. By mistake, I close some file. Let me open that file again. By an error, it is, and file is closed, so I open it again. So I close COVID file. If you want something, let me close it. And quality is open in this as well. Now quality 5, and let me see 4 also if I have opened this 4. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3 and 4. No, this is not that. Engineering. Let me see if I can. This is file number 3. 5, it is 4. Let me go to 4 and see what can I get from there. For engineering GGBs, that is over. I think that was over. So let me see project management. 1 is general facilities, 2 is project designs, contract award, facilities, petrochemical. I think this I should open. Project designs. Okay, open this one. I was talking about designs yesterday. We are talking of execution plans, stages of execution. I think I was on mobilization, I think. We have done this, is it? Contact award, execution plan, just a minute, I think maybe I'm wrong. Where is it? Contact award, I think 2, 3, 4. I had to open 4. I think that's important. 4 I have to open. No. I think 4 is over. I think 4 is over. Little bit, so it's not here. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me see 6 on. Let me see what it is. Yeah. It's a site. Let me open this. And this is current I see. So what's that? In this, so I have here project designs and yes, technical proposal I was talking of. Then I was talking of contact award. This is awarded. Execution programming. This we'll discuss now. I'm sorry I took your time to have some information about this, but no problem. It's life. So many files are here, so no problem. Quality is important here. 1, 2, 3, 4 files. So I'll take this. And I was talking at length about this. What is mobilization? That's a point here. What do we consider a mobilization? Everybody must understand what is mobilization. It's actually very general term. Just like we say these days, mobile, right? We are very powerful in mobile world. Every child knows what is mobile, what's power of mobile. Without mobile, I think we cannot take breath. The mobile has been so important in our life, like it was sometimes transistor when I was too young, when I was adolescent. In my age, now I'm 66. In age of 16 when I was, or 16 to 20 when I was, we used to have pride in having transistors while walking, and people used to keep transistor on, so adult could say he has a transistor. And before transistor we had radios. Might be many of you do not know what radio was. You know radio waves, but there was a radio appliance in those days. I was in, I think, 8th standard or 9th standard, and we got one radio about 50 centimeter, 60 centimeter width, 2 feet width, you can say, a box type, and we constructed one timber platform on in those days. I think it was about 60s, 65 or to 70. We kept there, and I thought that there's someone inside that radio box who speaks and I hear. Because I was a kid, I couldn't understand that. But it doesn't mean that my contemplation was wrong. It can be wrong. That's why radios were squeezed to transistors, and those radios were put in home only. There was no, they were not portable. There was antenna on them as well. We had to adjust antenna, that's telescopic antenna on them to get signals, and also there were antenna on transistors, telescopic antenna, and we had to adjust those. If I had one transistor and walk on road, I used to feel high profile person. Oh, he has a transistor. I'm just giving the reference, but life moves. Same way, mobile is now. If you don't have mobile, people feel surprised. Oh, you don't have mobile? How it is. And this mobile, a few decades back, was very expensive. Everybody could not afford. And now hardly there is someone who doesn't have mobile. That's also true. Maids or those who do not know anything, they have mobile and they can't move without that. Its development means its revolution, that technology reached everyone. It's okay. But this mobile means, has used the word mobile means you have to keep moving. It doesn't mean that, but you can port it, you can take it with you where you go. This means is that. But here I'm talking about mobilization. Why we call it mobilization? I have already explained this. Again I am explaining. Means we have to mobilize our work. Here there is no train, there is no plane, there is no car. That's not our project. Our project is not that. We have to produce something that would move. Our project is something else. We have to procure all those items which move, and we have to station them. You got my point. It's reverse. There is a factory of cars, for example. They produce cars, buses, tractors, scooters, or whatsoever. And these move. And these always move. And performance of this vehicle is measured in terms of movement in their remaining mobile. Other facilities attached to those machines, those are supportive facilities, but main function of machine is to move. It doesn't matter if seats are comfortable. It doesn't matter if there is FM. It doesn't matter if it is AC or not AC, but these keep on moving. And that's where we enjoy those facilities. Those facilities are enjoyed by movement. So here what we do in construction, in civil, or in plants projects, multidisciplinary, or you can say all disciplinary projects, we procure movable items and station them or site them and that's why we call it site. We don't call it factory, we don't call it something else, but a project that is being underway of construction. And when we call construction, there's a difference between construction and production. Whatever is produced in mechanical world, in automobile world, or in other world, those productions are transported, and these are for purpose of transportation of themselves, and they serve transportation. But in construction, in facilities work, in structures, these products do not move, but these products move others. You got my point. I am a civil engineer. I work on site. Why do I say I work on site? I don't work in factory. Why do I say I produce something on site, and whatever is produced on site remains permanent there? It doesn't move. That's the difference. So if it doesn't move, my production doesn't move, then I have to move myself. And I move myself from my site to another site. But from time I take over one site as an engineer or in charge, I take over that site and I hand over that site one day. You got my point. Factories are not handed over, plants are not handed over, because these operate and these keep moving. But civil or construction sites never move. But there is a time during which we call this process of construction as project. Day when I take one plot land, this project land, and day when I include or conclude that and finish that, complete that for purpose of operation. These two dates are very important from construction viewpoint, from project viewpoint, from contract viewpoint, and these are called date of commencement to date of completion. Date of commencement means date of start, and date of completion means date of handover. And this gap, this time difference is called duration of contract, duration of project. This means in this duration we have to do everything, we have to take care of everything for this project, and that's why we call this project. There exists nothing, and we have to project something for purpose of continuous operation in future. Because there is nothing in beginning, it's only land. Land cannot do anything on its own. We have to prime it like we prime a water pump. We do priming on a water pump by pouring water in that so that it starts operating. That is priming for operation. Here we do priming for working, start working. And this priming can be named mobilization, and when we come out of that land, that can be called removing its priming, or we may call it demobilization. So mobilization and demobilization are two ends of construction project. Mobilization means start, be mobile, and then leave this site means demobile. Mobile and demobile. So your mobile never demobilized, but my mobile is demobilized. I have to join some site as construction worker. Then I have to leave out. I have to come out. I have to demobilize. So this is, you can say, you may say otherwise deployment, but deployment doesn't fit in here, because I have to start something, I have to move something. Whole project duration in construction world, in contracting world, whole project duration from day of commencement or start to day of completion or handover is duration, is a roadmap that you have to move this project. Though project is not moved, project remains there on site, still we call it move. Why? We call it move because we have to move progress. We have to move construction activities. That's only a project is moving. Though project is not moving, site is not moving, project that would remain only for construction duration. If during that duration it moves, means its activities move. While this project is over, site remains same. It's not changed. Rather, site is called location of factory or location of plant or location of residence or building, whatever you can say. Movement is over. We are interested in movement of construction, in movement of construction activities, in movement of production of mechanical, electrical, civil and all of this, manufacturing, whatever it is called, but it is production. Production within construction period. We have to move it. Its duration may be 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. We have to keep it moving, and this movement is very important from construction point of view. बैठ गई क्या हो रहा है? हाँ, तबीयत ठीक नहीं है? तबीयत ठीक नहीं है? तबीयत ठीक नहीं है? बैठी है ना? So we can say mobilization. We simply say very first step. We simply say very first step to get into stage of physical establishment for construction. It simply says first step is to mobilize so that other activities move. Mobilization means it is completely temporary activity. Of course, it's called establishment. It's called establishment for construction duration. It is called establishment for construction duration, means for contract duration, for project duration. Very first step to get into the stage of physical establishment for construction. Mobilization plus demobilization, and you can define it like construction duration plus mobilization plus demobilization, or mobilization plus construction duration plus demobilization equal to contract period. Equation can be formed like that. Let us say mobilization is M, construction is C, and demobilization is DM. So M plus C plus DM equal to contract period. You get like this. Mobilization is fixed. It's not very long. Generally for major projects even it's 1 month. And demobilization is also approximately 1 month or maximum 2 months. So 1 month plus construction period plus 1 month or 2 months equal to contract period. So very first step to get into stage of physical establishment for construction is mobilization. Mobilization means you have to prepare your plot, your land, your site, your battery limit to start a smooth construction. You will be paid for mobilization as well as demobilization and also for construction. But construction activities are permanent one. You cannot remove them. By mobilization is very, very temporary. You have to remove them by demobilization. So mobilization is opposite to demobilization. Mobilization is work done for temporary period so that permanent works are done, but this temporary work is removed by other temporary work, and that is demobilization. We have to start mobilization, and mobilization is very important because without mobilization, you can say mobilization is base. It's base of your construction. Without mobilization, you cannot do anything. So mobilization is you can say, a foundation for your construction activities. This means it's very important. We cannot take it just for ignorance, that it's very, very temporary, don't worry about this. We'll do it simultaneously, start construction, and that's called nonsense. So very first step to get into stage of physical establishment of construction is mobilization, in which what we do? We take our site, and that's called site is taken over. And all transfer stations are established using available satellite records, means surveying activities are done. Surveying activities which are already permanent, which are already available, we just establish them, because we don't do anything new on them. These are there. All corners of plot are somewhere total stations, transfer stations, and we have to transfer all of the stations that we use for our reference for construction activities of all structures to be installed on that area. The site is taken over and all transfer stations are established using available satellite records, GPS or whatever it is, level, coordinates, northing, easting, vertical controls, horizontal controls. We call them whatever it is. So site is taken over by site in charges or leaders, and all transfer stations are recorded or established. Surveying department commences its works for establishment objectives, so that was already said. Transfer stations are recorded and surveys are done, whatever survey is required for record purpose, for payment purpose. Contouring is required, contouring is done, or geographical survey is required, geographical survey is done, or whatever else is required, that is done as a part of contract item. Surveying department, or land surveying rather we should say, land surveying department or our people or group, they start their work to establish objectives or these GPS points or whatever else, or just to record some requirement for future. There may be underground services, there may be whatever else. These are all done in addition to previously soil investigation carried out. Approvals are obtained from authorities concerned from engineers development. Approvals are obtained from contractual authorities, other than contractual authorities and statutory authorities concerned, and from contract engineer or owner or employer. Applications are made for obtaining record drawings. Applications are made for I just below it. Applications are made for obtaining record drawings from statutory services authorities, if so required. Record drawings, do you know what is record drawing? I think you know well, even though I explain. Record drawing means records of all underground services or services which should be done, those drawings which depict them, and these are permanent records, underground services, ground services or embedded services which should be taken care of while doing construction, because these services can be impacted upon if we ignore them. There can be electrical services passing below, there can be water services, there can be fire water services, or there can be some remote services which are very important from economical point of view, from project running point of view, and which cannot be interfered with unknowingly. This must be taken care of, and if we are required to be diverted, they should be diverted, or whatever action is required to be taken, instructions given by those departments, those operators, is have to take care of. So the applications are made for obtaining record drawings from statutory services authorities if so required. Applications are made to operating authorities for issue of all record drawings if so required for permits. Question, what permits? What for permits? There are so many operating authorities working in certain plant areas, refineries, or certain facilities, plants already they are working, but you are going to work for them extensions, or you are going to add some more standby plants or some other plants, and these authorities rule those areas. Jurisdiction of these authorities lie in those areas, and these authorities rulers in those areas for that purpose, and they have record drawings for all services, and we can get from them not only record drawings but also our permits for work, which may be hot work permit or cold work permit, and our not only permits, our staff will be trained by those people to enter into this area and how to work in these areas. So that's called permit to work. Permit to work (PTW) is required prior to commencement of an excavation in hot and cold work areas. That's a very important point. You have to understand this very well. If you work for some plant areas or some oil facilities or some electrical facilities or some other facilities or some it was a very nationally important facility, significant facility, we cannot work there without obtaining permission from those authorities, from those bodies. If we work illegally, we can be prosecuted. So permit to work is called PTW in writing, is required prior to commencement of an excavation in hot and cold work areas. And there can be no excavation allowed in those projects, or not excavation, any work, whatever you do, is not permitted until these permits are obtained. No excavation is allowed in projects until these permits are obtained. Now, for application of work to start permit, documentation is carried out giving details about applied work, official award letter, availability of safety officer, full-time supervisor, then method statements, and then application is considered for sanctions. So what's given here? What do you need? Now suppose I'm an engineer or manager or organizer of a plant or a new project. I want to start excavation there. I can't touch that one. I can't even hammer one nail there until I get authority. I get permission. And to obtain that permission, I have to make some documentation. I have to apply. I have to move. So that application is to be worked upon. To get permit, start permit is called. For what I have to do certain documentation. It's a form, it's a permit to be supported by certain documents, and that is carried out. We have to what? We have to give details. We have to include details about what work we are going to do, contract work or part of what. We have to see which project it is, what work we are going to do this, and we have to include our award letter or whatever official document do we have, and who is our safety officer, qualified one or particularly trained by that authority, full name of that or full identity of that safety officer or supervisor, and what technical method we will do on this. Whatever technical methods we have to, maybe there's road crossing, there's road excavation, there's something else, maybe whatever is required for that. And then we can say if there's a question of providing fee, we have to provide fee also. It's not necessary. Safety is more important fee. The application is considered for sanction, and this sanction is a limited one. You have to start immediately, and there's a time within this period. You have to do that, and you have to keep informing them so that those officers, those authorities of body would keep on visiting. However, whether we comply with requirements of their law or theirs, we can say rules, and we do according to method statement to ensure that those whose guy will come, our guy will interact with them. Most important, safety, health, and environment here. We can't go against any of these. We have to comply by rules of safety applicable in those areas, and you can say health for people if they work in hot area, cold area, hot work and cold work, below ground, above ground, at heights or wherever. So we have to take care of them, and we can't spoil environment. We have to follow all rules about environment, how to do it, and only then sanction will be granted. And that sanction is applicable only for a couple of weeks or months or days depending on size of work. And we have to finish then, and I have to take closing report of that. We have to clear whole site. This is brief about permits, permit to work, that I said, permit to work here, as you see, PTW, and we get qualified people duly examined by those authorities, and these licenses, or you can say certificates, are given for PTW. In trained person they call it. Only those persons can enter these areas, no one else. So fencing is erected now. This was because I was talking of mobilization. This I explained to you about PTW, permit to work. Now fencing is erected. We have to secure our site. We have to secure our area for which fencing is installed. It's erected. Establishment of temporary camp and offices are affected according to engineer approved plans and method statements. So fencing is erected, establishment temporary camp in offices are affected according to engineer approved plans and method statement. Fencing, we can say there are so many types of fencings in this. Maybe sometimes we, rather than installing temporary fencing, we may install permanent fencing. Whatever types it is, chain link fence we generally use, the stadium chain link fencing. There are many types of type 1, type 2, type of permanent fencing, and generally in majority of cases permanent fencing is erected, chain link fencing or whatever it is, and establishment of temporary camps along with fencing. Yes, if camp is separate, we have to do separate fencing. If this camp is not a part of that site, it's a different location, then we have to do temporary fencing for that. That's very important because nothing can be left to access to public or others. We have to fence every area wherever we work. Maybe it is for temporary work or it's for permanent work. So establishment of temporary camp and also offices are affected according to engineers approved plans and method statements. So this is also temporary and we have to take care of that. I like to brief it later on. Meanwhile, you can read this. I'll be back within 15 minutes or 10 minutes because I have to go up to... Sorry gentlemen, I'll be back. So I said we have to erect fencing. That's the important point here is we have to erect fencing. Fencing is erected, as we say, fencing is erected for permanent work as well as for temporary work. If we erect fencing directly on our whole battery limit, it's okay because that is permanent fencing. And also, if fencing is erected for temporary camps and offices, it's okay. We have to erect temporary fencing which can be removed later on by demobilization. So these are basic requirements, and whatever we do, it is for approved plans and method statements. When we have to install permanent fencing, that should be according to method statements and instruction given by manufacturer of fencing, as well as temporary camp fencing and offices enclosures according to whatever we do. Temporary method statements, temporary work method statements, we have to provide that. So here question is method statement. Our topic is method statement. Our this subject is method statement. Means wherever we work, whether it is temporary or it is for permanent delivery, it's all done according to device method statements. When I say devised, means we design method statement. We write our ways how shall we do it. Otherwise there can be nothing as such. We have to devise ourselves. How shall we work on this? And we know method statement writing is also a very technical job. Everybody cannot write it. Only that person who has experience or who can think on. Experience also doesn't mean you can write if you cannot know writing. Or there may be two persons. One is method statement deviser and writer, and other is a person who works for that item, and both sit together. A person who doesn't know writing, he can tell how shall I work, and the other person who is an engineer who receives information from other one and can convert that to format of technical writing. This way this device can be worked upon, and method statement can be compiled in a professional way. So that is beauty of this. Then all arrangements for accommodation for personal, when we do accommodation for our camp, for our people, for our workers, for our staff, for our managers, leaders, we have to provide accommodation for everybody in remote areas, because generally major plants are developed in remote areas, distant from cities, quite distant from cities, where seas exist and where population doesn't exist, habitation doesn't exist. If there is a habitation, it is many kilometers away from that plant, because safety of people cannot be compromised. This point we have to understand. So all arrangements for accommodation we have to work upon, we have to do for all personnel. We have to provide all sanitary facilities for them. We have to provide water supply for them, drinking as well as washing purposes water. You can say drinking water is separately provided. We have to provide daily use water for washing, and also for bathing, for bathroom, for station, for that. And we have to provide electrical services. We have to provide air conditioning services if required. We have to provide firefighting services. We have to provide access to camp by service road or whatever means. Then we have to provide security, means security personnel, security officers, site security, fencing. We have to provide for them food through catering or directly. Catering is important here, because catering contractor can be given job for permanent messing. And also sewage treatment plant, generally we call it STP, whatever night excreta or whatever is disposed of from camps or life camps, those sewage quantity, that sewage quantity should be treated immediately there itself, so that environmental pollution can be reduced. sewage treatment plant, and after that sludge and effluent are disposed according to method statements or according to law. And also we have to provide leisure activity or entertainment activity like sports area, like common room facilities where TVs are also there, videos also there, and sports courts, tennis courts, basketball courts, handball courts, and whatever. And we have to provide car parking or other parking. We have to provide swimming pools if because of many years project there are all classes of people. So swimming pools where multinationals work must be there. People are interested in swimming to dispose of their weekly accumulated energy. And then we can also provide local shops from where they can buy daily use items like fruits, like vegetables, or like biscuits, or like whatever for kids, etc. And as required by contract and temporary facilities, whatever contract says, whatever facility says, and whatever can be done. Because ultimately purchase shall be done by personnel itself. So this facility must be given to them. So temporary facilities that contractor or engineer deems necessary should be provided. So this paragraph says all arrangements for accommodation, for personal or sanitary facilities, water supply for drinking as well as for washing purpose, electrical and air conditioning, firefighting, access to camp, security, messing, sewage treatment plant, leisure areas, common rooms, sports courts, parking, swimming pool, local shops, etc. as required by contract, and temporary facilities that contractor or engineer deem necessary should be provided. Similarly, site offices establishment should also be considered or constructed according to site establishment, approved plans and permit to work obtained before commencing work for site establishment offices. So we can say here site offices, site offices establishment should also be constructed according to site establishment approved plan and permit to work obtained before commencing work for site establishment offices. All provisions of utilities should be made according to contract, engineer and contractor requirement. Still we are talking of mobilization. Now site offices should start functioning on or before appointed date according to program of mobilization. Very important point. Offices, it may be contractor office or it may be representative office or agent, you can say consultant office, or you may say engineer's office or contract employer's representative office, accounts office, or whatever offices, subcontract offices, whatever offices are required to be mobilized. These offices should start functioning on or day before appointed date according to program of mobilization. It should be kept in view that some agreed percentage of payment should be released when mobilization is completed and work can be commenced with. Point here is mobilization is done in 1 month, but this mobilization is meant for whole duration of project. You got my point. It may be 1 month duration for mobilization works, but it may work for 2 years or 3 years. So you can say whole payment cannot be made, material procured can be made, installation can be made, but that in percentage wise, because you can say there is always a chapter, a BOQ part that is called preambles, and in preambles we still use mobilization part, and we have to pay during that preambles whole lot use of this mobilization. So only proportional payment can be made. This is generally accepted. And the mobilization also includes deployment of required workforce or strength or manpower, machinery and supervisory construction, supervisory staff, construction, safety, people, planning and engineering, as well as administration staff without a loss of time. This means we have to do homework, either to transfer these people from some other project, or we have to recruit new people or hire them from whatever source, keeping abreast considerations of legal visas, or if no visas apply, then mobilization of these people from whatever source, remobilization or transfer. You have to keep in mind that this cannot be done in one go or one hour or 1 day. Whole planning is required for this follow-up, because if they are transported from other projects, transferred from other projects, means those projects must be kept in view, what stage those projects are, and what is overlapping period for this mobilization of those personnel, because personnel and machinery are very important. Without competent personnel, you cannot start a project, you cannot start construction works, and without availability of machines, you cannot do anything. So it says mobilization also includes deployment of required manpower, workforce, machinery and supervisory personnel, construction personnel, safety personnel, planning personnel, engineering as well as administration personnel without a loss of time. Time is very important on this issue. Now this deployment accelerates. This deployment, you can say this personnel deployment can accelerate procedure on commencement of job in start itself, beginning itself, and time may be gained to keep in line with program. Program means if mobilization is successful, you can start permanent works and you can keep online your progress with your plan. So this deployment which accelerates procedure, this deployment accelerate procedure on commencement of job or permanent works in beginning itself, and time may be gained to keep in line with program. Smart and efficient project managers, leaders or engineers understand this aspect very well. Keeping very proficient at this stage means as additional efforts are required to commence with kick-off project. It looks very comfortable that we have got 1 month's mobilization time. But I'm sure this 1 month is very small period. If you consider quantum of work, if you consider transactions, if you consider activities, if you consider head office, if you consider your own companies, and you keep other projects in mind, and also you can say if you have to import people from other countries, all issues regarding application, regarding visas, regarding travel, means it looks very easy. 1 month is enough. Yes, maybe if you are very big company, you have sources, that's okay, but everybody is not very big. Everyone is not that wealthy. So if we are able to do our mobilization smoothly, efficiently, certainly this will help us to start our project, our permanent activities, permanent works activities. Running project may not be that difficult. It's like running car. If you have a car, driving, you can run a car. But if you don't have a car or you are making a car, you can't say that you got it. Running project may not be that difficult to push. But starting and streamlining all departments, all sections. Operations demand efficiency and hard work. Hard work means regular work, sequential work, follow-up work, lead work, whatever operations are involved, all those demand efficiency. You may say those who are in mobilization stage and who may work for permanent operation, those people know, they understand value of mobilization. And sometimes people ignore, okay, we have this much mobilization activities left, we'll do it while we start permanent works. That happens, but I think sometimes it is successful, sometimes it's not. So running project may not be that difficult to push once starting, and streamlining of all activities have been done efficiently, and we can use our potential of hard working and potential of moving efficiently on permanent works. Offices means site offices require full-fledged modern computerized facilities. Before this was not considered 2 or 3 decades back. Site offices require full-fledged modern computerized facilities with all softwares for fast interaction and communication. Fast interaction and communication, intranet, internet, telecommunication, conferencing, sanitary, water supply, drinking water, dispensers, refreshments, electrical supply, standby generators, heat, ventilation and air conditioning, first aid ambulance, doctor, nurses for immediate attention, assistants and a well-established site cleaning. So you see how many items are included in this. Site offices simply can't be porta cabins put in. This is site offices are done. No. Or you may say porta cabins are here. You just connect to sewer line, water line, that's done. Electrical line. No, it's not that. When you say site offices, means site offices in functional mode. When we say site offices, when we refer to, this means functional offices, functional to requirements. It's not simply connection to sewer line, connection from water line, connection to electrical and civil starters. No. Whatever facilities we have defined or specified, we have to provide in them because we are paid for that. This could be, modern computerized facilities, full-fledged, legal, for fast communication and interaction, means internet, intranet, and printers, photocopiers. You can say telecommunication facilities, conferencing facilities, halls for conferencing, video conferencing, meeting halls, sanitary requirements, and nowadays safety also, personal safety according to COVID-19 status, water supply, drinking water dispensers, refreshments also means tea, coffee, sandwiches, water, or sometimes others depending on where site is. There are no shops, no markets nearby, so we have to provide facilities in deserts or in forests. Electrical supply, standby generators, heat, ventilation and air conditioning units that may be wall mounted or split units or centralized units depending on size of your offices, areas. Provision of first aid facilities and permanent provision of ambulance, provision of medical doctor for immediate medical attention, also serving nurses, male or female both. Generally male nurses work on sites, assistants and a well-established site clinic according to safety, health and environment quality plan. We have to be considerate about that. Now, site offices require full-fledged stores. Site offices require full-fledged stores because laydown is there and lot material is kept on site for construction purposes, tools, materials, and whatever else. Warehousing, where huge metal is kept, permanent material is kept, machines are kept, mechanical, auto maintenance, and repair workshops, vehicular or equipment parking areas, labor workers, temporary shelters for lunch and tea, etc., as well as for rest pauses necessary under safety allowance or safety organization management for prevention of heat stroke and environment attack during hard working hours. Now we are talking of mobilization, which is very important part of a project. And without materials, no project can be completed in time. It may be mobilization or it may be permanent work. Without materials, no project can be completed in time. What time? Even can't be touched without that. Can't be touched without that. That's fine, we have to see. Without materials, no project can be completed and can be progressed or can be moved. This is only item that may delay completion of project due to possible non-delivery in time, even if you have personnel there to do job. This means delay on procurement of material. Delay on procurement of material leads to delay of completion of project because of non-delivery of material in time. Material constitutes more than 60 to 70% budget. We agree with that. Material constitutes more than 60 to 70% budget for contract. And every prudent contractor should intend to make as much saving as could be possible out from this element of expenditure, simultaneously keeping in line with quality assurance and quality procedure. We can frankly say material profit is very important for contractors. If there is no material profit, you cannot get much profit from labor or workers' element. Otherwise, if you don't get any profit either from material or from workers, there's no meaning that contractors should come into this business of contracting. So material constitutes around 60 to 70% budget of contractors for contractors, and contractors shall like to make profit as much as saving from procurement, provided issues of qualities, issues of assurance, issues of controls are kept intact. Only 25 to 30% rest with workers and maintenance, and that doesn't allow major saving to contractor. So this is very smart point to understand. We may say, but I am sure 5 to 10% of material cost, or even more, would go to profit of contractors. Otherwise, there's no meaning in contracting, no meaning in wasting time in this business. Every purchase leader or department manager and owner of company tries their best to procure acceptable material within reasonable and minimum cost, making trial and again from a number of interested vendors both before and after award of a contract is an important point. Means we have already some quotations from reasonable sources, reasonable vendors, but because we think we have time, we can try more and more sources so that we get lower and lower price quotations with minimum cost We try again and again, but we forget that work and time never wait. And what happens sometimes that when time of this material installation comes, this material or equipment has not delivered yet, which leads to delay of project. So we have to keep in mind, and we can say here every purchase department manager and owner of the company tries their best to procure acceptable material within reasonable and minimum cost, making trial and again from a number of interested vendors both before and after award of contract. There may be some delay to decide from which vendor or supplier these materials or equipment are to be procured. Of course, to be delayed. It's also expected in a similar fashion from prospective subcontractors, because if you want to make saving, those subcontractors also want to make savings. Both are same in same boat, so we cannot take that by surprise. And same conduct is expected similarly from prospective subcontractors or sub-vendors of main contractor. But relevant purchase leaders should not endeavor to spend unnecessary redundant time on this activity, but make a decision in time to get delivery to site, materials in plant time, including all FAT, FAT and as well as SAT and performance tests. We have to keep in mind whatever equipment we buy, these have to go to testing, undergo testing, factory test or site test, whatever it is. These take time, and that time must be a part of procurement. And if you keep out of mind, then certainly work shall be delayed. Therefore, this additional time which you spend on deciding to get lower rate, so it says, but relevant purchase leaders should not endeavor to spend unnecessary redundant time on this activity, but make a decision in time to get delivered to site materials in plant time, including FAT as well as SAT and performance test. Material approvals is a tedious and time-consuming activity or exercise which must be given due consideration with optimum time organization, time management for a possible successful completion of contract. Don't waste time, that's all I can say. It has to be remembered that if approval is missed, no purchase order can be released by procurement organizer or leader or project engineer or manager. If your approval is missed, you can't place procurement order for permanent inclusive material. It should also be taken note of that there are hundreds of permanent inclusion materials, permanently inclusible materials, respecting which approvals require to be obtained. Not one, not two, but hundreds. Civil material, electrical materials, mechanical, air conditioning materials, hoisting materials, finishing materials, furnishing materials, and all equipment, all vessels, all units required. Whatever is to go to project forever must be approved, and without approval, contract doesn't accept that you have done right job. You should not worry about it. You have to get everything approved until it is compromised. It should be taken note of that there are hundreds of permanent and inclusible materials, respecting which approvals require to be obtained from engineer as well as from owner. Every submission requires full manufacturer's information. When you submit something, you have to submit on form or a format or application. It requires full details like whatever information of manufacturer can be given, whatever specifications available that can be attached, whatever practice works that can be attached, standards can be attached. Well, we have to maintain our budget cost also on this, though it's not attachable, but we have to keep in mind that we should not spend more than this amount on this material. That's called cost control. So it says otherwise escalation would result in, and escalation on budget means loss of money, minus on budget, and may delay. Whatever delay is there, but if delay is accepted, but delay means liquidated damages imposition, which results in overall delay on project completion, leading to facing impositions of liquidated damages on contract. So this para says every submission requires full manufacturer's information, engineer's specifications, as well as conventional practice, demand, and updated standards, which should also be covered within budget cost. Otherwise, escalation would result in should delay being allowed, resulting in overall delay on project completion, leading to facing imposition of liquidated damages on contract. Now, it is suggested, in fact, that major homework should have been carried out at bidding or tender stage itself to avoid such delays. Of course, market may fluctuate, but there should remain room for negotiations with vendors or suppliers. Well, it says that when you do tender, at that time you should have solid work done. You should have invited quotations, keeping in mind what shall be awarded to you, and those quotations should be considered later on. Maybe you get more quotations, but this whatever you got at that time would help you, though validity is over, but validity can be reclaimed. So it shall be called homework if you have done at time of bidding. So there is a gap between bidding and award. Even then, documents are documents. So actually it is suggested that major homework should have been carried out or conducted at bidding or tendering stage itself to avoid such delays. Of course, market may fluctuate, but there should remain room for negotiations with vendors or suppliers. Workforce.
घूमने जाएगा ना, ये वाली दवाई देख ली।
कौन सी दवाई? कौन सी दवाई है ये?
कम
वहाँ
की थी ना उसने।
तो वहाँ जाके लेनी पड़ेगी ना ये
तो यही मिल जाएगी कहीं,
तो। ये वाली नहीं मिलेगी यहाँ।
क्या पता मिल जाए।
अरे ये सब नहीं देते वाली वो, देख लेंगे लेकिन मिलेगी नहीं यहाँ। ये अलग ही दवाई है, ये सारी खत्म हो गई।
थोड़ी
वो
सी
जो
दी थी ना
जो
उसने।
10 दिन की दी थी उसकी बात है ना,
हम्म?
10 दिन की जो दी थी उसने, तो मंगवा से ले आऊँगा क्या? जाना पड़ेगा वहाँ, ये है।
अरे देख लियो ना, बाजार में मिल जाएगी।
चल देख लेंगे, मिल जाएगी। तो नहीं मिली तो क्या कुछ लानी पड़ेगी ना वहाँ जाके। ये स्पेशल ऑर्डर पे मंगाते हैं फिर 10 वाली। कितनी गुल लानी है ये? 10 लाई थी उसने दी।
20 लाएगी।
हाँ
20
20 लानी है या 20 लाई थी?
इसके साथ खाते हैं ना।
अब कितनी बैलेंस हैं?
20।
20 बैलेंस हैं तो 20 लानी है ये। पूछूंगा पवन के मिल जाए तो पूछूंगा। सॉरी, पर्सनल डिस्कशन। So, workforce we are talking now. Significant element in absence of which nothing is feasible. Workforce. Really, it's workforce. Because without this force, your machines, your equipment, your material, your technology, your method statement, your staff, your engineers, or whatever are they're all useless. Understand that? I'm not laughing, I'm just joking, you know. It's like soldiers, no soldiers but only commanders. It's like we have fighters but no pilot. So significant element in absence of which nothing is feasible. Cost wise it is not more than 25%, 20%, 15% in this range, but without this 85% cost, 90% cost or 75% cost is useless. Therefore, this element of construction activity, that's called manpower or workforce, must be regarded with due respect, with regard. We cannot call them labor. This is wrong word used of our world. They are labor. It doesn't mean that they are low profile, they are not staff, but they are most important on project. I call them skilled people. I don't name them as people think so. After all, I understand value of these people because yes, they are not well educated in schools and colleges, but jobs they perform, I can't perform as an engineer, as foreman I can't perform jobs they do, activities they do. Therefore, value is due to them. We cannot go against that. We have to understand this point in every mode. We have to be clear about this. We have to respect them like that. So my dear friends, for me, mason, carpenter, steel fixer, welder, plumber, electrician, duct worker, road worker, steel fix, all I consider them technicians. I don't consider them labor. I also don't consider their helpers as labor because they work and that's why we work. I work as an engineer or manager. I am successful only if these people work. We have to change our mindset. They apply hard work. They work day and night. They work in sun, particularly civil team. They work in sun, in dust storm, in rain, in cold and in hot. At least civil workers, if you don't consider HVAC workers or even electricians because they always work indoors, those civil workers, form shutters, form worker, steel fixer, mason, they generally work in all weather conditions. So we can't do that. They do it. They stand in trench, they do concrete, and you can see their noses filled with dust, their ears filled with dust, and their clothes always wet in humidity as well as in sweating. So we have to consider analytically their sacrifices, their contribution, and we have to extend regard like that. And yes, maybe they are not very well calculative. HVAC duct worker, electrician, they may be little educated because of training. And these people, civil workers, they come from background training of their home. They may be little different in their understanding, but contribution by civil people is about 70%, 80%, while contribution by services people is 20 to 25%. We keep in mind that longest duration of stay on site is by civil people. Cost may not be that much, but duration of stay during activities is maximum be given by civil people. So generally we have to correct ourselves. We should not neglect them. They do not accept negligence. They don't say anything, but we have to realize this fact. I could understand this only when I find them that without their contribution I cannot be called a successful civil engineer. As well, without contributions of services people, nobody can say that he is successful mechanical engineer or electrical engineer. We have to keep in mind this, and without contribution by these people, by these souls, no project can be delivered. Delivery of project is done through these people. Therefore, significant element in absence of which nothing is possible is feasible. Difficulty has to be faced when well-trained workforce is not available in required time from expected source. That's the points of concern. When you require them, you don't find them. Trained workers I'm talking. Trained doesn't mean IIT trained or ITI trained. Trained means who have been taught, who have experienced. Experience is perfect trainer. If you have experience or doing good job, you are good worker. So difficulty comes into play when the very well or well-trained workforce is not available in required time from expected sources, and then we suffer. We try to find people from there and here without making sure that they are trained, but because we have to push job and we lose our element, our proficiency element in that case, because those workers who are not well trained could be 50% efficient, 60% efficient, or even sometimes 40% efficient. So we lose time, cost because of ill-trained people, and that is a problem on project. In case public is not available, workforce people are not available, contractor always tries to deploy workforce costing within job budget. We have to keep budget in mind, and that budget doesn't allow very skilled people. That impacts on quality of work. Job budget is very important because if contractor spends more than budget, contractor stands nowhere. But workforce must also be very important because workforce is paid. And if we don't have excellent people, we don't have performers, then neither it's good for contractor, nor it's good for owner, and nor for others. There could be so many problems for deploying workforce and providing demanded facilities on contract. Human resources, which we call workforce human resources department or section should be efficient to deal with this subject and matter, so that particular delay that can be caused on project could be avoided due to non-availability of these people. If we keep in advance thinking that we can keep a watch on where people are available in acceptable cost, in planned manner, we can do that. But when there's abundance of jobs, you can't find these people. So human resources department should be efficient to deal with this matter. It may be human resources or yourself, engineers can also do it, so that particular delays avoided due to non-availability of required plant manpower, because we have to train them first. We have to train them first. We have to bring them from certain lower level to higher level of quality, and it takes some time. That time we have to keep in mind. We should not think a person because immediately starts working efficiently. Some time is given to that worker to pick up our way and then do job. They can do it. Workforce shall be time schedule. Workforce according to time schedule is required respecting all disciplines, means, and be kept on mobilizing out according to project requirement. We have always a schedule for activities for project where we have to make mobilization plan, we have to make demobilization plan, as usually we do. Maybe people don't know formally. We say it's part of plan, but no, it's a specific part of plan. When we do mobilization, we have to keep in mind, and we can work upon people who will be used on permanent works. And when they are in progress, we have to keep in mind how many people have to go back by transfer some other project or to be, you can say, demobilized forever. That is analytical activity, and we have to deal with that. So this workforce shall be planned on time schedule according to requirement, respecting whatever disciplines and whatever trades, and mobilization plan and demobilization plan required to be worked out according to our requirements of project. It also applies to staff, supervisory staff and administrative staff. Staff shall also be mobilized and then demobilized according to contract activities progress, according to contract requirements related to time schedule. Because redundant staff is also no use. We should have strength staff, means whatever strength requires, only those people should be there. Now on considerable big size projects, when I say considerable big size projects, means very big size projects, mobilization and demobilization programs are prepared and approved by engineer or client to ascertain that job commences in nature, job commences in time, and after demobilization, progress is not affected adversely. It's very important statement. There are various sizes of projects. Let's consider very big size of project, plants or facilities. We have to prepare mobilization and demobilization programs or schemes or plans, and this must be approved by engineer or employer to make sure that job commences in time, and after demobilization is over, progress is not affected adversely. Because demobilization is not one stage, it can be in different stages. It can be in midway also, progress, when there may be a group of force which are not required. So they may be demobilized. Some people come for very small activity. For example, installation of a crane, tower crane, for example, the installation of tower crane It doesn't take whole progress duration. It takes during mobilization or during whatever time in between. These people can be mobilized and demobilized. Or there can be some other activity specialist one. So we have to keep in mind all this. The progress cannot be affected, should not be affected by this. Fact, only after approval from client is obtained, demobilization can be affected, though approval shall not be withheld unreasonably. Control of workforce constitutes in itself a separate mini discipline involving complete procedures from making a requirement, forming a recruitment strategy, approving a strategy using agencies, and then conducting interviews, shortlisting of selections and appointment on contract, followed by mobilization to job site. So there's a long process, You have to recruit manpower or workforce. It's not that simply you can get in one day. You have to plan accordingly. A kind of small discipline, you can say, a mini discipline, you can say, which involves complete procedures. You have to advertise. You have to decide a strategy, how you want to recruit them. Or you have some known sources, you have to talk to them. You have to approve strategy. We accept this, we get from this agency or that agency, you have to decide that. Or you take your own way. And then you have to call them, conduct interviews or tests. Then you have to shortlist and select and appoint on contact, followed by mobilization to job site. And then they can somewhere start learning your job. It's a long process. And if it's importable, it's for long. You have to apply for visas and to all facilities so that they can enter that country, and then you have to get them regular visa. Entry visa, then regular visa, and all this comes into play. It's a long process, which must be professionally pre-planned to avoid conflicts with site requirements, as well as also to remember that all workers recruited for project being mobilized temporarily for further rotation only, provided further projects are won. So we can say this is very complicated work, and without this we cannot do anything. That is also true. How can we move without this? This part is very important. This file 5, and we have project management. I will take this file later on. And this is engineering facilities. We discussed before or no? What it happens, how it happens. It gives us all this general engineering requirements. Then you can say 3D CAD models and plastic model engineering design. We can say etc. We'll take care of this later on as well. And now we go for another file, which is project designs and engineering facilities, then construction we was discussing, and then project management facility. It says various facilities at construction site we have to talk of. Construction accommodation camp and other construction facilities we have to talk of. Other construction temporary facilities we have to talk of. Then we have to say general and office building and other facilities. The utilities and accommodation camp and effluents, waste disposal, importer equipment materials, disposal of temporary facilities and construction surplus, guarantee period, etc. We have to take into our considerations all this. Pre-commissioning, commissioning, startup, initial operation, and maintenance, coordination with vendors, contractors, centralized document control, and like this, contractors' primary responsibility, project administration, final project documentation, and all this goes out, and whatever we say, service and facilities by contractor company. And we have to see secretarial clerical assistance, or telecommunication facilities, computing facilities, missing facilities, administrative assistant. We have to go a long way to know about this. It's all part of, you can say, kind of project management or project organization way. You will not learn it in your management degree. Can't be. They don't know to this. How can do this? So therefore, I decided to take this separately. You can say method statement itself evolved. It's again rather to say method management. You should say rather than method statement, management method or method management. Because that's very much a specialized activity. Everybody cannot do this. Everybody cannot know this. You have to keep that in mind. You have to keep that in mind, and that's very important. So project designs, then engineering facilities, construction, and then quality, of course. And as I explained about COVID also today in some details, quality lies in our site organization. When I say quality everywhere, it's everywhere. It's in our, not only method statement, but our, so far we discussed. It's all because of quality. Quality should be applied regularly in genuine terms. Not because I want to show that we are doing quality and we don't do quality. Therefore, everywhere I'm saying system, it should be a system, it should be an individual, it should be an element or product, other in designs and all construction stages. It should be method statement, it should be in performance time, it should be, cost, risk, and reliability. Everywhere there must be quality. Reliability quality is also important. So it's not only product quality, it is activity quality, activity, whatever activity goes on, technical activity, understanding activity, even like meetings should be of quality. Some people make jokes of this, but they don't understand. Quality is quality. So we have to understand all these points, very important. We should be, little further understandable on this. We cannot simply say whatever done is right. You should not only do right, but it should look that you are doing right. Everything is not permanent, and everything cannot be done in permanent mode. That we know. That's the reason that we're talking on this mobilization of nothing else. Very, very important point in our world. For example, as a project management, various facilities in the society. It's linked to mobilization, it's linked to whatever we do. But even then, it's not perfect. But quality requires perfection. Just like we started this topic of engineering. What is it we talked of in this? Simply we talked of something that we try to introduce means a company or client believes from its very vast experience that one of key foundation blocks for successful, efficient and cost-effective end product facility delivery is quality of detailed engineering and design. Quality of detailed engineering and design, that's very important point. Means detailed engineering and design must follow quality system. Therefore, whatever we call company or client employer places a very high importance on contractor selection of an internationally recognized detailed engineering and design capacity subcontractor for company or content. Content, you can say competent in-house capability, you can say. When you say detailed, you can say company client place very high importance on contractor selection of an internationally recognized detailed engineering and design capability. Subcontractors are competent in-house capability. Organization with a proven track record of undertaking and successfully delivering similar projects at single location under one roof. Accordingly, meeting foreign requirement, post-award engineering and design subcontractor shall mobilize its team for project. Likewise, company or client shall verify this at time of review of CVs and conducting interviews of the personnel mentioned on pre-qualification document, and such a scrutiny verification shall constitute a basis out of various key lead evaluation criteria required for selection of contractor. I'm just giving you as a reference only. We'll take up later on also and see details. This important point that I want to push in is risk and reliability and all linked with that. As we said, in the case of COVID, I'll close this file 6 because we'll discuss it later on. Project designs also close, so I'll keep this file engineering facilities also closed now. Let's concentrate on closing files, which I say COVID, as I said, COVID, which is also an issue today's, and because of COVID, our projects are affected, our economy is affected. We have to realize that fact. COVID-19 has destroyed everything temporarily, of course not permanent, but permanent or temporary loss is loss. It's not only 50% public, but this has caused concern everywhere, and this is very dangerous now. So such types of problems do occur, and this occurred everywhere in the world. So we should be very careful about this. We cannot simply say that this is done means this is done. Yes, this is done. But why it has been done? We have to analyze ourselves. No problem, people start finding we are not quality. Yes, we are not quality. We are not quality. So point is not COVID alone. Point is what we did, how it could be done, how it's related to quality. Means if we are losing everything, we are not respecting quality system. Means we did not have any method to handle this. Still we don't have method to handle except 11th hour approach. Rush of approach, rush of solutions. And rush of solutions do not mean anything. We have to keep that in mind. Of solutions doesn't give any result, it doesn't mean anything. Had we some method, we should have resolved this, but we had been sleeping, and that's what I say. There is no time to sleep on projects. If we had considered COVID-19 a project or an emergency project, then we would have standing separately, and the whole world failed actually, not only our country, whole world failed. They may be saying anything, now fact remains that all suffered because of absence of vision. Accept fact in life. This problem shall take years to come because we are not understood it yet. COVID is part of our life now, though it is dangerous part because we have destroyed this. This is a very important point that we have to consider, is why we could not understand method statement for COVID-19. That's the important point. Why could not understand COVID-19 related to the statement where we have a question mark and point to explain to ourselves what actually we did. Where is our performance? We don't have anything. We cannot do anything. We say we cannot do anything. We have to be very considerate of this issue, but we are not. Unfortunately, it is. So, I would say importance of method statements is very, very significant. We cannot reject. We cannot say no, we will do it. No, it has to be done. Method statements are very important part in life. Engineer should not move without descriptive method statement, or at least if there is no written statement, a statement which lies in mind, which commands in mind, that is very much important. We have to understand that point. If we miss that point, we miss a lot. So I can say that everything is fine if we are fine, if our minds are fine. And if nothing is fine, means nothing is fine. Today I have less time, only have 1 minute more, and I try to close this. I'm, very much concerned this is happening nowadays in our country as well as in other countries. Are worried about the situation. But this situation, we are responsible to gain it. I should not blame one part or other part. I am blaming whole nation. That overconfidence is always baseless. We should not have any degree of overconfidence, and we had, as nation, we have wonders, we have done well, and we misled all world. Same way, we cannot mislead our team, and we cannot mislead those who don't want to mislead. By ignorance, we worry about. Must be kept in this mind. So I close this now. I think it's over. We'll try to take this next time. And I think, thank you very much for this. We have to continue to close this now. I'm sorry I could not take more time on this. Let me close this. Hope maybe today is small talk, but I wanted to give impetus to cover this. And I think I've done that for you. And I should say once again, thank you for your patience, for your interest, whosoever may watch this, and those on forum of Safi and LinkedIn, I think they may appreciate or not, it's up to them. So I close.